Speedrunning in BeamNG can be described in many ways. There are the usual words like difficult, precise and crazy, just like in any other speedrunning community. But BeamNG also has its own unique and interesting features. Vast tuning potential and a constantly shifting meta have led to a community that thrives on discovery, where the old and established can be completely destroyed in a matter of weeks. Over the past 12 years, tons of new vehicles have been added to the game, and with each of them came new tuning setups, new tricks, and hundreds of broken records. But none were as destructive or as meta-defining as the sports car I'm about to show you, the Civetta Scintilla. Introduced in June 2022 with version 0.25, this supercar quickly claimed a huge chunk of records, and to this day the Scintilla remains the go-to vehicle for almost everything. But why? To answer this question, let's take a quick look at the previous meta. For the longest time the SBR4 dominated the BeamNG speedrunning scene, and it's no wonder why. It had 1400 horsepower, a GTRX aero kit, and on top of that, it was one of the easiest cars to drive. Even for beginners, it handled well under throttle and braking, with little understeer or oversteer. The default setups were solid and tuning was simple. That combination broke records and also made the SBR4 one of the best cars for new speedrunners. And then the Scintilla was introduced. Funnily enough, everyone in the community knew it would destroy records, which it did, just not as fast and as many as expected. In the first week, only a few records fell, and while the times were significantly improved, many were quickly taken back by the SBR4. The reason was simple: experience. Players simply had more hours in a car that was already well explored and perfectly tuned. The Scintilla, on the other hand, had a set of problems, especially with tuning. Compared to the simplicity of the SBR4, the Scintilla felt unstable, always too under or oversteery. And it's also not that superior to SBR4. It's a bit lighter, sure, and has more durable engine, but that's about it. Until you look at the power. With the right setup, the thing can push over 2300 horsepower, and in BeamNG speedrunning, raw speed and acceleration outweigh everything else. That's also why the current jet meta is starting to spiral out of control. Instant acceleration even without grip. Madness. But I digress. And after a slow and awkward start, Scintilla's dominance started to show. As more and more players gave Scintilla a shot, things started shifting, and with big names like Haiku, Fek and Kimurasa joining in, records began falling fast. In just a couple of months, the SBR4 dropped from holding 69 records to only 22. What really made the Scintilla interesting wasn't just how it performed on the track, it was what happened in the garage. Its customization options were on another level, both in depth and difficulty, and that led to the creation of two completely different meta setups: Asphalt and Rally. I know what you are thinking. Rally? In a Scintilla? Isn't it fragile? Well, yes, the same can be said about the SBR4, but with that much power, it was only a matter of time until someone bold enough managed to make it work. Sure, there were other cars like the FCV Vivas and the Sunburst with better durability, but even that wasn't enough to compete against pure power of the new supercar. On rough rally maps, the Scintilla wasn't usable, but on simpler, more straightforward variants, it became completely dominant, thanks to Haiku and his custom tune. So let's take a closer look at that rally setup. Just a quick reminder that we will be looking at one of many tunes that differ slightly. Firstly, let's remove all the useless weight. This is mandatory if you wish to create a truly powerful speedrunning setup. Now let's move to the juicy parts, and it started with a partial aero kit, without fenders. This might seem odd, but it adds critical downforce and improves stability, which makes aggressive cornering far more manageable. The engine is an obvious one, a 5-liter V10. It's the most powerful option and gives the top speed needed for records. This also introduces the usual handling issues under throttle, with one mistake ending the whole run. And for the wheels, 15x7 rally wheels. Very slim and very useful for taking turns almost sideways. This was a practically ideal rally tune for anyone who is ready to spend hours getting the perfect run. Powerful, lightweight, and fragile. A glass cannon at its finest. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of the tuning aspects since it's probably gonna take several hours. But if anyone wants to take a closer look at it, all tunes are in the description. And now let's get into race variant. Actually, there are two, regular and Dark Owl. They are very similar. In fact, Dark Owl setup is just a regular one with Dark Owl parts attached. Made by Vulp, it was created for one purpose: flying. Simply put, it has far superior aerodynamics. Race variant is widely used on any track with at least 70% of asphalt, and even though the car is fragile, it can still take a few hits, which does open the door for weird and risky skips that players started exploiting. Back in the garage, this version has a full aero kit and unusually full setup, even with the hood. That helps with high-speed stability and lets it shine on long straights. The engine stays the same, but the wheels are swapped for 12 by 11 wide tires, perfect for wide, sweeping corners and stable grip. Now that you have seen both setups and got an idea why the Scintilla took over, it's time to look at some real examples. Let's jump into history and check out three very different maps, which can be described in three words: unique, technical and rally. Halfpipes is the first one, and on the surface it's 20-second map with a dropdown, halfpipe and finish. And as it turns out, this map doesn't have any checkpoints, which means skip time. Instead of going through the track, you can just drive around everything. 2Pixel held the record here for a long time, using his own SBR4 tune. But that all changed with the Scintilla. In just 1 month, 2Pixel with a brand new Scintilla setup managed to beat his own time by nearly 1.5 seconds, thanks to 2300 horsepower and an incredibly precise line. But it didn't stop there. 2 years later, Vulp came in with his Dark Owl tune and took things even further. Instead of skipping, he drove normally to the halfpipe, then jumped from the top of the halfpipe across the second half of the map. Eventually, he brought the record down to sub 12 seconds, shaving off another 3/10. Next up, short race circuit. Located in industrial site, this time trial is a simple race with only 2 real turns and a few checkpoints. But don't let that fool you. This map became a playground for skilled players. For a long time the SBR4 was untouched here. It had speed, acceleration and better handling than anything else in the game. Kimarasa used it to his advantage, setting a blistering time of 15.3. But then the Scintilla entered the scene. It handled worse, but it had the power and Haiku pushed it to the limit, dropping the record to almost 15 seconds flat, and then, after a few more attempts, to sub 15. And year and a half later, Haiku decided to come back and break his own record, bringing it down to an insane 14.85. Alright, enough with asphalt, let's talk rally. For that, we are heading to the East Coast USA and a track called DeForest Stage. This time trial features a rugged off-road route with a bit of asphalt either at the start or end, depending on where you spawn. It also happened to hold one of the longest standing records in the game. This is a perfect example of Scintilla's raw power beating out more durable rally cars, like the FCV Viva. For a long time, the Vivas was king here. Kimarasa even set an incredible time of 1 minute and 0.8 seconds. But then, Haiku made a bold move. He brought the Scintilla to the dirt. After grinding the route for 2.5 months, he finally brought the time down to under 1 minute. Then, in a fierce back and forth with Kimarasa, dropped it all the way to 57.2, where the record still stands today. And that was the Scintilla, the best speedrunning vehicle. And if nothing new and powerful will be added to the game, it will remain so, even with Jato around. To be honest, I would love to see Jato on Scintilla, but one can only dream. Thank you for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon!